When people think of Israeli culture outside of Israel, they think of Tel Aviv. The buzzing cafes on Dizengoff Street, the Mediterranean sun on white stone buildings. But there are streets across America where you could close your eyes, listen to the language around you, and believe you were standing on the Mediterranean coast. Hebrew lettering covers the shop fronts. Israeli flags hang from balconies. Some of these communities have grown so large they have reshaped entire cities. And most Americans have no idea any of this exists. Now, let's begin. Number 15, Devon Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. We start in the deep Midwest. Chicago. Deep dish pizza, blues music, and Bitter Lake, Michigan winters. Not the first place you would expect a thriving Jewish neighborhood, but on the far north side, along Devon Avenue, something extraordinary has unfolded. In the early 1960s, this neighborhood was nearly 75% Jewish. 47,000 people called it home. Then families moved to the suburbs. Synagogues closed. By 2000, the Jewish population had dropped to just 20,000. Most people assumed it was over. Then in 1992, the community installed an ERUV, a symbolic boundary of wires and poles that allows observant Jews to carry objects and push prams on the Sabbath. That single act made the neighborhood viable again for Orthodox families. Young couples from Brooklyn discovered affordable housing and moved in. Today, Devon Avenue is home to 27 synagogues. The Jewish population has climbed back to approximately 25,000 and continues to grow. Kosher bakeries, restaurants, and Judaica shops line the street. It has become the largest Hasidic community in the entire American Midwest. Devon Avenue's comeback is remarkable for the heartland, but travel east into the Rust Belt and you will find something even more unexpected. Number 14, South Taylor Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Cleveland is not a city most people connect with Jewish life, and yet it quietly hosts one of America's most vibrant Jewish communities. Beechwood, an eastern suburb, has been described as one of the most Jewish neighborhoods outside of Israel. Greater Cleveland's Jewish community is estimated at roughly 100,000 people. The Orthodox presence has been fueled by families fleeing the high costs of New York and New Jersey. A house that costs over $1 million in Brooklyn sells for a fraction of that here. The Telshi Yeshiva, founded in 1941, anchors the community. South Taylor Road in Cleveland Heights is an Orthodox campus. Day schools, kosher markets, and synagogues cluster together. On Saturday mornings, families walk to services past homes with wide gardens. The Hebrew Academy of Cleveland saw enrollment grow from 855 students in 2013 to over 960 by 2016. A very different kind of community has taken root in one of America's most prestigious university towns. Number 13. Harvard Street, Brookline, Massachusetts. Brookline borders Boston. It sits in the orbit of Harvard and MIT. Old New England. Brick townhouses and leafy streets. It is also home to a quietly significant Israeli community. Israeli academics, doctors, and technology professionals have been drawn here by the concentration of universities, research hospitals, and tech companies. Greater Boston's Jewish population is estimated at approximately 148,000. Brookline is its densest pocket. Multiple synagogues stand within walking distance of one another. Hebrew-speaking families fill the parks on weekends. Israeli cultural events run at community centers throughout the year. The Israeli presence here is quieter than in other cities. Less flashy, more cerebral. Over espresso and hummus, plans are made in Hebrew while autumn leaves drift onto cobblestones. Brookline runs on intellect and innovation, but south of Washington, another community runs on something more tangible: sheer institutional depth. Number 12. Reisterstown Road, Pikesville, Maryland. Pikesville is a suburb of Baltimore with a population of about 34,000. Over 20% of Greater Baltimore's Jewish population identifies as Orthodox. That is more than 20,000 people. Most live in Pikesville and the surrounding neighborhoods clustered within walking distance of synagogues. The anchor here is 7 Mile Market. It was long known as the largest kosher supermarket in the United States, spanning over 55,000 square feet. On Friday afternoons before the Sabbath, families fill the aisles, stocking up for the day of rest. The bakery produces thousands of challahs each week. Census data from 2000 showed that 19.3% of Pikesville residents reported Russian heritage. Nearly all were Ashkenazi Jewish families whose ancestors fled the Russian Empire generations earlier. Baltimore's Orthodox community is one of the few in America that has actually grown since 2010. While Jewish populations in many cities have declined, Baltimore has expanded. Pikesville keeps families rooted year-round. Number 11. Ocean Avenue, Deal, New Jersey. Deal is a tiny borough on the Jersey Shore. In winter, its population barely reaches 800. But every summer, it transforms. Since the early 20th century, Syrian Jewish families from Brooklyn's Flatbush and Gravesend have summered here. Grand mansions line Ocean Avenue. Some are valued at more than $10 million. The driveways hold luxury cars, and the language drifting from open windows is a mix of Hebrew, Arabic, and English. The broader Syrian Jewish community in New York and New Jersey numbers approximately 75,000 people. Deal is their summer capital. The community maintains a communal edict dating to 1935 that effectively restricts membership. It is one of the most insular Sephardic communities in the Western world. In summer, families walk to multiple synagogues along the beachfront. Elaborate Shabbat dinners fill enormous dining rooms. The sound of the Atlantic mixes with Mizrahi music from open windows. Children run between houses on sun-warmed streets. Deal is a world of its own. But back in New York City, in the borough of Queens, something completely different awaits. Number 10. Main Street, Kew Gardens Hills, Queens, New York. In central Queens, between modest brick houses and low-rise apartment blocks, an entire civilization has reassembled itself. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, tens of thousands of Bukharian Jews emigrated from Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. They settled in Kew Gardens Hills. These are descendants of communities that lived along the Silk Road for over 2,000 years. An estimated 50 to 60,000 Bukharian Jews now live in the greater New York area. The densest concentration is right here in Queens. Walk down Main Street and the signs are in Hebrew, Russian, and Bukharian. Enormous banquet halls host weddings that last for days. Bakeries sell naan, the traditional Central Asian flatbread. Ornate synagogues blend Central Asian and Israeli architecture. Turquoise domes and intricate tilework that would not look out of place in Samarkand or Tel Aviv. Family sizes are large. 3 generations often live under one roof. The community is strikingly self-sufficient, with its own schools, social services, and cultural centers built entirely from within. A few miles south in Brooklyn, another Sephardic community has been quietly building one of the most affluent corridors in all of New York. Number 9. Ocean Parkway, Flatbush, and Gravesend, Brooklyn. Ocean Parkway is a grand, tree-lined boulevard cutting through southern Brooklyn. 6 lanes wide, sycamore trees arch overhead. It looks like something from another century. Brooklyn's Syrian Jewish community dominates this corridor. Roughly 75,000 people are concentrated in Flatbush and Gravesend. Many are powerhouses in retail, textiles, and electronics across New York. Granite limestone and brick homes line the boulevard. Sephardic synagogues hold services in Arabic-inflected Hebrew. The smell of kibbeh and tamarind drifts from kitchen windows. Children walk to yeshivas in pressed uniforms past gardens filled with fig trees and jasmine. Community roots trace to Aleppo and Damascus. The first arrivals came in the early 1900s. For more than a century, this community has maintained extraordinary cohesion. Marriages outside the group remain rare. In summer, these same families travel to Deal. Winter in Brooklyn. Summer at the shore. The same bonds. The same tables. The same prayers in the same Arabic-inflected Hebrew, just with different weather outside the window. Walk a few blocks east from Ocean Parkway and you enter a commercial strip lifted straight from a Tel Aviv side street. Number 8. Kings Highway, Brooklyn, New York. Kings Highway runs roughly 7 miles through southern Brooklyn, one of the borough's oldest roads, dating to 1704. Its character today is decidedly Mediterranean. Israeli-owned businesses dominate long stretches. Holland Foods, a kosher supermarket named after the city just south of Tel Aviv, has operated here for more than 40 years. Israeli delis, falafel shops, and bakeries line the pavement. Hebrew lettering covers the awnings. The sounds tell the story. Israeli pop music drifts from open shop doors. Elderly men play sheshbesh at cafe tables. Conversations in Hebrew, Russian, Bukharian, and Arabic. Sometimes all at the same table. Each wave of immigration has layered its own restaurants and shops onto the same corridor. Walk a single block and you pass through 3 continents of culture without crossing a street. Kings Highway feels like Tel Aviv set in Brooklyn brick. Now we leave New York entirely and travel south to Florida's Atlantic coast, where entire cities have been reshaped by Israeli life. Number 7. Collins Avenue, Surfside, Florida. Surfside is a town of about 6,000 people, tucked between Miami Beach and Bal Harbour. Collins Avenue runs through its center. Israeli and Jewish families have settled densely along this stretch. The Shul of Bal Harbour is one of the most prominent Chabad synagogues in America. Florida's governor has appeared there for official events. Israeli flags fly alongside American ones. Hebrew appears on restaurant menus and estate agent boards. On Shabbat mornings, families walk to shul along the ocean, women in white dresses, men in pressed shirts, children barefoot on warm pavement, the Atlantic glittering beyond the seawall. In June of 2021, the Champlain Towers South building collapsed in Surfside. 98 people died. Many were from the Jewish community. The town's resilience since has deepened its communal bonds in ways outsiders rarely witness. Surfside feels like an intimate coastal village, but just a few miles north, another community has earned a nickname that says everything. Number 6. Collins Avenue, Sunny Isles Beach, Florida. Locals call Sunny Isles Beach by another name, Little Netanya. In 2005, the city formalized a sister city agreement with Netanya, Israel. Netanya is called the Riviera of Israel. Sunny Isles calls itself the Riviera of Florida. The parallel is deliberate. Sunny Isles sits on a narrow barrier island. Luxury condominium towers line the beachfront. Hebrew is heard constantly in the shops and restaurants along Collins Avenue. One longtime resident described Shabbat here simply: everyone dressed in their finest, walking to or from synagogue. You could close your eyes and believe you were in Israel. Russian Jewish and Israeli families make up a significant share of the population. Kosher supermarkets stock Israeli brands imported from Tel Aviv and Haifa. Real estate draws Israeli investors seeking ocean views and no state income tax. Capital flows between Sunny Isles and Tel Aviv as though no ocean separated them. Sunny Isles feels like a resort town on the Israeli coast, but its neighbor to the north has accomplished something even more remarkable. Number 5. Biscayne Boulevard, Aventura, Florida. Aventura is a planned city in northeastern Miami-Dade County. Its population is roughly 35 to 40,000 people, and it holds a distinction no other American city can claim. Aventura is famous for its massive Jewish footprint. While it is a unique city where synagogues vastly outnumber other houses of worship, synagogues stand within walking distance throughout the entire city. The Jewish population draws from an astonishing range of origins. American transplants from the Northeast, Argentine Jews, Colombian Jews, Venezuelan Jews, Brazilian Jews, French Jews, Russian Jews, and Israelis. Hebrew and Spanish mingle in the air at the supermarket, at the school gate, and across the car parks. When a hostage release gathering was called, over 1,000 people assembled within 24 hours. That speed reveals just how tightly connected this city is. Approximately 8 synagogues and more than 10 kosher restaurants serve the area. Census data shows 3.66% of residents speak Hebrew and 2.78% speak Yiddish. The Jewish population in Aventura has seen the highest percentage growth in all of Miami-Dade County. Aventura's diversity is extraordinary. But now we return to New York, to Long Island's South Shore, where an entire village's commercial identity has been transformed from the inside out. Number 4. Central Avenue, Cedarhurst, Long Island, New York. Cedarhurst is a village of just 7,374 people on Long Island's South Shore. It sits at the center of what locals call the Five Towns: Cedarhurst, Lawrence, Woodmere, Hewlett, and Inwood. Together, they form one of the most established centers of Jewish life in the entire New York region. Central Avenue was once known as the Rodeo Drive of Long Island. Today, it looks very different. Kosher restaurants, Judaica shops, and Jewish bookstores line both sides of the road. The Gourmet Glatt supermarket anchors the Spruce Street corner. 37 kosher supervised eateries operate in Cedarhurst alone. French steakhouses, sushi bars, brick oven pizzerias, schnitzel counters, all certified kosher. In some parts of the Five Towns, Orthodox Jews now account for an estimated 75% of the population. Over 25,000 Jewish residents live across the 5 communities, out of a total population of roughly 47,000. 16 Orthodox synagogues stand alongside a handful of Reform and Conservative congregations. On Friday afternoons, the village buzzes with preparations for Shabbat. On Saturdays, most shops along Central Avenue close entirely. Families walk through quiet residential streets. Children fill the local park. Cedarhurst's transformation has been gradual but total. Number 3. Middle Neck Road, Great Neck, Long Island, New York. But our next entry shows what happens when a community reshapes a suburb not just commercially, but culturally and politically. Great Neck is a peninsula on Long Island's North Shore. This is the place F. Scott Fitzgerald used as his model for West Egg in The Great Gatsby. Old money, grand estates, manicured lawns stretching toward Long Island Sound. Great Neck today is not the place Fitzgerald described. Following the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran, waves of Persian Jewish families settled here. They transformed the town's religious, cultural, and commercial landscape within a single decade. A 2011 survey found that 38% of Great Neck's Jewish households include someone who identifies as Sephardic. The vast majority are of Iranian descent. Approximately 24 synagogues now stand on the peninsula. The Persian Jewish community in the greater New York area numbers between 15,000 and 17,000 people. Many live right here. The Mashadi community has built an $18 million community center spanning 75,000 square feet and serving 7,000 members. A Persian Jew has served as mayor. Walk along Middle Neck Road and you find kosher restaurants serving tahdig and gandhi alongside gefilte fish. Persian synagogues stand beside old Ashkenazi ones. On the morning train to Penn Station, men speak Farsi while reviewing property portfolios worth tens of millions of dollars. Great Neck is now Iranian American, Russian American, Israeli American, and Bukharian American all at once. The transformation shows no signs of slowing. On the opposite coast, in a valley that most Angelenos themselves overlook, an even larger Israeli community has built something extraordinary. Number 2. Ventura Boulevard, Encino and Tarzana, San Fernando Valley, Los Angeles. The San Fernando Valley sprawls across 300 square miles north of the Santa Monica Mountains. 2 million people live here, and within this vast suburban landscape sits the largest concentration of Israeli Americans in any single area of the United States. Los Angeles is home to one of the biggest Israeli diaspora populations in the world. Over 100,000 Israeli Americans live in the greater metro area. An estimated 50,000 live in the valley alone, centered around Encino and Tarzana along Ventura Boulevard. Nearly half of the affluent Valley Hills residents are Jewish. The valley leads all other areas of Los Angeles in synagogue membership at 43% and records the lowest intermarriage rate at just 16%. Institutions anchor the community firmly. The Merkaz Tarbut Israel Cultural Center operates in Tarzana. Israeli Scouts run Hebrew language programs for children. Valley Beth Shalom in Encino is the valley's largest synagogue. The world's first Israeli community center was established right here. Walk Ventura Boulevard and you see Israeli cafes and falafel shops. Hebrew bookshops, children speaking Hebrew on school playgrounds. American and Israeli flags flying side by side outside synagogues. Yemenite Jews from Israel have settled here too. The Tiferet Taman Synagogue was the first Yemenite synagogue in Los Angeles, founded from a house purchased in 1986. Unlike Brooklyn, the Valley's Israeli community is more secular, more Mediterranean. This is Tel Aviv's energy on California asphalt. Relaxed, sunlit, entrepreneurial. And growing every year. The Valley is vast. Our final entry is something different entirely. Tighter, more concentrated. A single boulevard that one community leader called a garment district of Judaism. Number 1. Pico Boulevard, Pico Robertson, Los Angeles. Pico Robertson sits on the west side of Los Angeles, wedged between Beverly Hills and Century City. This neighborhood is home to the largest Orthodox Jewish community in America outside of New York. An estimated 24,000 Jews live in and around the core neighborhood. 30 synagogues line a single boulevard. Every Orthodox denomination is represented. Persian synagogues beside Moroccan ones. Yemenite congregations near Hungarian and Russian communities. Chassidic, modern Orthodox, and Israeli Jews all calling this place home. Census data shows that 37.2% of foreign-born residents came from Iran, following the 1979 revolution. Persian Jews built their own institutions alongside existing Ashkenazi communities. The result is something that exists nowhere else on earth. 30 kosher restaurants serve everything from Middle Eastern to Chinese to Italian to Mexican food, all certified kosher. Just 35 years ago, Jewish life here was described as dormant. The transformation happened street by street, shop front by shop front, family by family. Walk down Pico Boulevard and the languages shift block by block. Farsi in one bakery, Hebrew in the next, Yiddish around the corner. The smell of jaknoon from a Yemenite kitchen mixes with Persian rice steaming next door. Moroccan spices drift across the pavement from a restaurant with no sign in English at all. Near the corner of Pico and Doheny, there is an active oil drilling site. It's enclosed in a gray, windowless structure designed to soundproof the equipment and blend into the commercial strip. That single detail captures everything about this place. On a Friday evening in summer, the sun drops toward the Pacific. Shop shutters come down one by one. Families begin walking to synagogues in every direction. A dozen different languages, a dozen different traditions, a dozen different corners of the earth, all gathered on a single boulevard in Los Angeles, California. Not Tel Aviv. But as the light fades and the Sabbath candles begin to glow in apartment windows, you would never know it.